Hi everyone, hope you all are good. We are here for grade 4 math. The chapter we are on right now is multiplication. The lessons we're going to cover today are properties of multiplication, distributive property, find the missing factor, multiply using the distributive property, and estimate products multiply by one digit numbers. Then estimate product multiply by larger numbers. So please make sure you have your notebook and pencil so that you can note down the important examples and definitions as well. So here I'm on grade 4 math. The chapter we are on right now is multiplication. Let's just start with the lesson that is properties of multiplication. Okay, which property of multiplication is shown? So same way addition and subtraction hold some properties. So the same way multiplication also holds some properties, right? So let's just look at the first one. Which property of multiplication is shown? So here you have 8 times 3 times 4, then 8 times 3 times 4, right? You can see on the both sides the numbers are exactly same. Here you have 8, here you have 8. Here you have 3, here you have 3. Here you have 4, here you have 4. That means if you change the order of multiplication, the, the product is exactly the same, right? You have three numbers involved here, so that is known as the associative property. The grouping of factors, just the grouping is changed. Like first, you have to solve 8 times 3, you need to multiply it by the 4, right? On the other side, you have to do 3 times 4 and then you have to multiply it by the 8. So that is associative property, right? Okay, let's just start with the practice questions. Which equation shows the associative property of multiplication, right? The first one is 0 times 2 equals 0, right? When you multiply a number with the 0, the product is always 0. That is known as 0 property, right? The second one is you have 9 times 6 times 3. You have 9 times 6 times 3. On the both sides, the numbers are exactly same, just the groups are changed. So that is known as the associative property because here you have three of the numbers are involved. Which property of multiplication is shown? Just look at this side. You have 9, take away 8 and multiply by 0. You have to do 0 times 9 and subtract 0 times 8. That is known as distributive property. So distributive property it is. The correct option is distributive property it is, right? When you have a different sign inside the bracket, right? Addition or subtraction, and outside you have a multiplication sign. That means that is the distributive property. So distributive property of multiplication subtraction it is. Distributive of property of subtraction over multiplication it is, right? No, this isn't zero property. Okay, which equation shows the zero property of multiplication, which is the correct option? Now you have to see the zero property, which is the correct option. That is the second one. When you multiply any number with a zero, the product is always zero. That's the second one. That is the zero property. Which property of multiplication is shown, which is the correct option? So when you multiply a number with 1, the answer is always 1. Sorry, the number, right? Whatever you multiply the number with 1, the answer is exactly the same number. That is known as the identity, right? The correct option is identity, it is. Which property of multiplication is shown 5 times 0 plus 7 and 5 times 0 plus 5 times 7, which is the correct option? The correct option is distributive property, it is. The correct option is distributive property. Very good. Which equation shows the identity property of multiplication, which is the correct option? The correct option is option number 1 is the correct option, right? Multiplying by 1 is the identity property and multiplying by 0 is the zero property, right? Okay, let's just start with the next question, next lesson, right? You can complete the lesson by yourself later today. So let me just move on to next lesson. The next lesson is distributive property, find the multi missing factor. Now the first thing is we need to learn what is the distributive property, right? So we have covered two three examples in the last lesson. Probably you know what it is, but let me just explain again. Use the distributive property to find property of multiplication to find the missing number, right? Usually distributive property looks like this. You have two of the operations involved, a times b plus c, and that equals a times b plus a times c, right? You have two of the operations involved here. Can you guys please stop chatting? You guys are here to learn, so please focus on the learning. Stop chatting. So here, this type of examples, they looks like the distributive property, right? So just look at this one. 5 times 1 plus 5 times 5, right? That means that is 5. You have the common number 5 times 1 plus 5. The other number is also 5. So the missing number is 5. Got it? Let's just start with the test questions. Use the distributive property of multiplication to find the missing number. So which number is missing? You have to use the distributive property to find the missing number. So just look at the sign plus here, right? That means they are distributed over addition. This is the common number, that is 4, and then inside the bracket you have 3 plus 2, and you can write 3 plus 2 as 5. So that would be 4 times 5. You already have 5 here. This number is 4. Okay, the next one is, you are not allowed to chat, otherwise I will block you. So stop chatting. Use the distributive property of multiplication to find the missing number. So which number is missing? Yes, very good. The missing number is again is also 5. That would be 5 times 5. It is the missing number is 5. Okay, use the distributive property to find the missing number. So which number is missing? Yes, the missing number is 2. The correct option is 2 is the missing number, right? Use the distributive property of multiplication to find the missing number. So which number is missing? The missing number is 5. The correct option is 5. Use the distributive property of multiplication and find the missing number. So which number is missing? Yes, the missing number is very good. Okay, use the distributive property of multiplication to find the missing number. So which number is missing? The missing number is 5. Very good. The correct option is 5. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. The next lesson is choose the multiples of a no. The next lesson is estimate multiply using distributive property. So how do we multiply? Now we know what is the distributive property. We have to see how do we multiply using the distributive property, right? So the first one is 6 times 11. You have to multiply, but you have to use the distributive property, right? So 6 times 11, you can distribute it over addition. So you can do 10 plus 1, right? So that equals 6 times 10 and plus 6 times 1. When you multiply, 6 times 10 is 60 and 6 times 1 is 6. When you add them, that equals 66. So the correct option is 66, right? Okay, let's just start with the practice questions. Use the distributive property of multiplication to find 6 times 12. You are even given the hint. Okay, so let's just distribute. Yes, that is 72, but the main thing here is you have to apply the distributive property here, right? You have to distribute 12 as 2 plus 10. Then you have to do 6 times 2 and then 6 times 10. That would be 12 and that would be 60. And when you add, that is 72, right? So just apply the distributive property, don't multiply right away. The correct option. Let's just start with the next example, right? Okay, the next example is use the property of multiplication to find 6 times 14. Hint is you have to use 14 as 6 times 10, which is the correct option. The correct option is 84. It is option number 1 is the correct option, right? So you need to multiply it by using the distributive property. That is important. The next one is use the distributive property to multiply 6 times 13. So which is the correct option? The correct option is the correct option is 78. Option number 1 is the correct option. Use the distributive property to find the uh, to find 7 times 13, which is the correct option. That is 91. The correct option is 91. Option number 2 is the correct option, right? Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. And the next lesson is estimate products multiply by one digit numbers. So you have to estimate the product, right? You already know how to round off the number, right? So rounding is almost same as estimating, right? As rounding is also when you have to perform estimation, you have to round the numbers, right? So estimate the product, round the first factor to the nearest 10 and then multiply. You have to round the first factor only, right? 17 times 4, 78 times 4, right? So 78 is rounded to 80, right? You have to do 80 times 4, so 80 times 4 is 320. The approximate answer is 320. That isn't the exact answer. You can even find the exact answers by multiplying the numbers as it is, right? Let's just start with the test questions. Estimate the product, round the first factor to the nearest 10 and then multiply. So that is 58 times 9. 58 is rounded off to 58 is rounded off to 60 and 9 times 6 is 54. That would be very good. 528 is. Okay, estimate the product, round the second factor to the nearest and then multiply. So which is the correct option? The correct option is 84 is rounded off to 80, right? So that would be 560. Option number 1 is the correct option. Estimate the product, round the first factor to nearest 10 and then multiply, which is the correct option. The correct option is 59 is rounded off to 60 and 7 times 6 is. The correct option is 7 times 6 is 42. That is 420, right? The correct option is option number 2 is the correct option. You have to estimate the product, round the first factor first. So 59 is rounded off to 60. The correct option is 420. Estimate the product, round the first factor to the nearest 10 and then multiply. So which is the correct option? You have 22 times 8 to 22 is rounded off to 20. It is 22 is rounded off to 20 and 8 times 2 is 16, so that is 160. The correct option is 160. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me. Okay, then let's just carry on the same lesson. Estimate the product. Round the first factor to the nearest 10 and then multiply. 52 times 8 equals. The correct option is 400. It is how 500. 52, you have to round off 52 first. So 52 is rounded off to 50, right? Because 52 is close to 50. So you can round off this 52 to 50 and 8 times 5 is 4400 it is, isn't it? The correct option is 400 option number. O1 is the correct option, right? Estimate the product, round the second factor to the nearest 10 and then multiply. So which is the correct option? 6 times 67. 67 times 6 equals 67 is round off to 70. Yes, that is 420 is the correct option. The correct option is 94 times 7 is, yes, that is 630. Option number 1 is the correct option. 78 times 4 is, which is the correct option? You have to round the first number. So 78 is rounded off to, the correct option is 78 times 4 is 320 because 78 is rounded off to 80, right? So that would be 320. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Okay, so we were working on grade 4 math. The chapter we're working on is multiplication. The lessons we have covered today are properties of multiplication, distributive property, find the missing factor, multiply using the distributive property, estimate products, multiply by one digit number, right? So please make sure before the next session you can complete all the practice questions for the lessons we did today. That is your homework until next session, right? So if you need more help with any of the lesson, you can contact any tutor on the Skype. They are available from Monday to Friday 5 to 9, or you can join me in the interactive session that would be daily from 4 to 5 and from 9 to 10. So that's all for today. If you have any questions related to the lessons we have just finished, you can please ask. I'm here to answer all your questions and confusions if you have any. No questions? No questions? No questions? Okay, that's all for today. See